I'm Scott Trout, CEO of the domestic litigation firm Cordell & Cordell. We help men deal with the life changes triggered by divorce, such as child custody and property division, among many others. But life changes also occur after divorce. These changes can make parts of your existing court order irrelevant or harder to follow. If you feel a modification to your court orders might be necessary, talk to us at Cordell & Cordell. We're a partner men can count on.
Contact CordellCordell.com, 1065 East Hillsdale Boulevard, Suite 310, Foster City, California, 94404.
All right. Are these working? Check. Yes, they are.
Let's go. Volume. Am I got Vox? Yeah, I can hear myself fine.
You got it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, here we go.
Am I projecting? Am I resonating?
You sound great.
Yes.
You're listening to The Brian Moote Show with Brad Nolan.
What's happening, everybody? It's The Brian Moote Show with Brad Nolan. Brad Nolan still on vacation, visiting his family, trying to find an inner happy place so he doesn't come back here and be such a sourpuss. In studio with me today, comedian Ryan Dalton and friend.
Yeah.
Comedian and friend. In studio hanging out with me today. He's from Cleveland. We're going to talk about that later because I want to talk about the whole Lebron to L.A. thing and how that's changed the the scope of Los Angeles sports. It changes the city, right? LeBron going to your city?
Changes going to Los Angeles
or just
going
any
to
city.
Cleveland?
Any city. Cleveland, Los Angeles.
It changes
I don't care where
everything.
He goes.
He's a walking economy.
And we're going to talk about that, and Ryan clearly has some strong opinions because he's from Cleveland.
That's right.
And first, I was just telling Ryan on the way in here, I did yoga for the first time in, I want to say
Ever,
like in a class. I've done P90X yoga, but what I'm hearing is that's not the same.
Mm-hmm.
That P90X yoga is because no one's really holding you accountable. The vibe is different, and you can kind of, if you're screwing up Warrior 2 or whatever, no one gets on you about it. And my legs are like jello right now. Like I want to fall down.
Yeah, and a lot of people think it's just stretching. It's just this. It's just breathing. I'm like, no, it's just like lifting weights. You got to put in some time to be good.
You're on your hands the whole time. Like
yeah.
A good 50% of the class, you're either in a lunge or leaning on one arm, planking, or doing a mixture of all of those things at one time, and then flexing your core, and then trying to relax.
And breathe. Don't forget to breathe.
Don't forget to breathe. That's a very important part. We had the teacher, though, I'm not sure. I thought the yoga teacher was supposed to be super easy breezy, just super relaxed. This lady was like kind of a militant jerk. She was she kept going like, "Don't make that face. Like that face is that's not a good face. That's not a relaxed face. You're not doing. That's not good."
Wow, they're so detail oriented. They're checking out your face.
This lady was. She was like, you know what? If you want to go to a yoga class where you're going to learn bad posture and you're going to learn this and that, then you can go to someone else's class. But I'm going to teach you guys how to do it right. And I was like, man, this is not for my first class experience.
Yeah, this is stressing me out. This is supposed to do the opposite of what I came here for.
I'm supposed to find like a really relaxed place, and instead I feel like this lady's up my ass right now to do things right that I don't even know what I'm doing. And one time she's like, open up your shoulders more. And I'm like, they don't do that. Like, that's it. They're as open as they get. Because you can't, once you hit the point where you're twisting your body in a weird way, and that's it, you've hit your breaking point. And then someone's like, go farther. You're like, I think it's going to snap. Like my whole spine is going to break in half.
Now, you're doing this at the same time probably, and the stress of not passing gas in front of everybody in there, that probably didn't help much either.
Well, what I did was I made sure to hit the bathroom. Just no pressure.
Nice.
No stress. I was under no time crunch. So I made sure to hit the old bathroom and just force something out. I don't even care what it was. Something is happening in here. So just get rid of that now. Because I thank God, though, I haven't been drinking. So, because that hungover yoga has got to be.
No.
You can't do that, right? You can't go to a yoga class hungover?
I did once. I've only done yoga one time. I went with my wife, and of course, we were boozing the night before.
Right.
And then we went, and it wasn't hot yoga, but it might as well have been because I sweat like my father. Mm-hmm. And he's one of those guys that when he's outside doing lawn work and he wears glasses, like the sweat will drip from the top of his glasses over the lens and into his mouth.
Yeah, you can see it just
and
coming down the front.
It looks like he's melting.
Yeah.
And I have now become him, so I sweat that much. So if I'm on a mat, it becomes the most slippery. Like I am always a second away from just my hands going out and just breaking my nose.
You do the splits, man, when you're in one of those like crazy deep lunges.
No. No.
I was sweating too. It always makes me feel uncomfortable when I feel like I'm sweating more than everybody else. And like I know it's bad when it's on my shins. Like, you know, when your legs are sweating, like down and where there's no, it's just your shins. Your shins aren't like a super sweaty area.
Yeah,
but,
ankles don't have a big sweat gland.
right, you can feel it on your ankles and your shins. You know the rest of you is just a sweaty, disgusting mess. And this lady, I don't know, she just was kind of, it felt rude. It felt like she was roasting people.
Right.
And I felt like I wasn't sure if I got the full experience. And then I got uncomfortable at the end because she turned the lights out and she was saying things to do and I didn't know what the hell to do. So I just started rubbing my knee like I was in pain just because I acted. That's like I felt like what I was doing because my knee was a little sore, but I felt like I wanted to make it very clear that my knee was sore. So I was overacting. I felt like a soccer player in the World Cup.
Yeah.
Where I was like, I'm hurt! And you just got to flail down so you make sure that everyone sees you out of the corner of their eye. Speaking of the World Cup, did you make any money on the World Cup?
I didn't. Honestly, we hung out for the final World Cup game, you and I, and that
we
was
had a little,
only game I saw. I did not follow
little
it.
party for Pat because he's out of the hospital. And he looks like he got stabbed about 60 times.
Yeah,
like
so he looks cool, in other words.
Yeah, he looks like the scars he's going to have from this surgery are like knife fight scars.
Yeah,
like
he
someone
looks,
really went after
it looks
him.
really cool and healed nice.
This year, man, I made a good chunk of money this year off the World Cup just on accident. I got France in one pool, France and Croatia, so I won that one before the final even started. And then in this other league where you just had to pick everyone and you got points, I somehow came out with the win on that one too. So I won 2 different pools just not knowing anything about soccer. Made it a lot of fun this year.
Wow, that's impressive, and I mean, I feel like you just picked the best uniforms at this point. Well, how do you know? I mean, do you keep track with soccer?
I did. So I knew some of the teams that were good, and then the rest of the time I just went with countries that I hated less, which is weird because France. I think the reason I picked France was just because I read that France was good. But in reality, like, I'm not a big fan of France. Like when I went to France, they weren't super nice to me. They were just kind of ho-hum. Just no one tried to speak English. They would ignore us on purpose. I feel like they would ignore us on purpose. Now, I have no proof because I can't speak French.
Sure. But you can pick up on energy and body language. They're probably talking about
I can
you.
know when someone's giving me a smug, bitchy face. And it's not, and like at a restaurant when they're like roll their eyes. And I'm like, man, I just want to get beer. That's it. Just trying to get a good buzz in front of the Eiffel Tower right now. Is that so wrong?
Yeah.
See what else we got on the show today. We are going to talk about. I had an interesting experience in San Pedro, right next to my dad's prison. I also want to talk about long distance relationships later in the show because Ryan and his wife were in one, and I would dub it successful if I had to, because you guys are still together.
We are still
married.
together.
You made it.
It was we had a long distance relationship, and it is exactly that, a challenge. Although we live in a time we have more tools at our disposal to help, i.e. FaceTiming,
right,
or the million different ways you can video chat on your phone and or PC or iPad or whatever. Although my wife hates doing that because she can't, and it makes me insane. And her excuse is, I hate looking at myself on the thing.
Yeah, I do the same thing.
So we're just going to talk on the phone like a bunch of cavemen? Is that what we're going to do?
Yeah, you're not going to utilize the latest in technology.
Yeah, we just have the power of the Jetsons in our hands, but let's talk on the phone.
It is funny. It's like you can materialize in front of people. Like we
Yes.
you are essentially beaming into the bridge right now.
Blows my mind every time I do it.
But it's like, nah, I don't want to talk virtual reality style. I'd rather just do it old school where I don't really know what's going on.
Right.
Did you guys hit up Amazon Prime Day?
No, but we are big fans of Amazon Prime.
Yeah, but look, what is it? Amazon? Yeah, it is.
They have
Prime
a day?
Yeah, it's Prime Day. It was yesterday from noon.
Ugh.
But it's kind of a sham to me because they just do a bunch of wild deals on stuff that no one's ever gonna get.
Oh, I beg to differ. I do pick up a lot of trash at the Dalton household.
Well, I mean, if it's one of those things where you're like, I can see myself using this and it's 30% off, I got to get it.
Yeah.
I went to my Amazon, and I think you know this about me, that I have like kind of a drunken Amazon problem.
Yeah, you did tell me
where
about
I just
this.
kind of buy stuff randomly drunk, or just I went to my Amazon account and I went to the shopping cart, already had 4 items in it from nights I'd added stuff and just not had the courage to actually buy. And the stuff that I had in my Amazon cart, I had a Hufflepuff Harry Potter pullover hooded sweatshirt for some reason.
For a friend.
For me, I wanted to be Hufflepuff. I thought it was funny. Then I had a Nerf machine gun.
Now that's
Then
cool.
I had some Beats by Dre headphones. And the last thing I had was a self-help book about relationships called Understanding the Power of Her. No idea why I got that.
Must have been a fight.
I was drunk. All right, next segment. All right, this segment.
Sounds good.
It's fun.
Yeah.
It's fun to do it like radio style. So people on the podcast
It gives you a little quality.
They get behind the scenes look at how a radio show goes when we're sitting here talking about useless nonsense and nothing. People's phones are going off. All right, yeah, let's get into long distance relationships because we kind of already touched on it with the technology stuff, and I'm always in trouble.
Brian Moote is a stand-up comedian. Brad Nolan is a stand-up dad. The Brian Moote Show with Brad Nolan.
It's the Brian Moote Show with Brad Nolan, minus Brad Nolan. If you want to follow the show, text us, tweet at us. You can download the app. I got an app. You can text Moote, M-O-O-T-E, to 36260. In today on the show is Ryan Dalton.
Hello.
Stand-up comedian, actor. He's been in some stuff.
Some things.
Writer, you've written some things.
Yeah.
And when you moved out to Los Angeles, you moved out to do, what is it, Sanford and Sons or Stanford and Sons?
Sanford and Sons.
Sanford
It was the 70s. It was Red Fox and me.
What was it called? No, Sullivan
and Sons. It was on TBS. Sanford and Sons. Yes.
They were doing the reboot. Man, reboots are popular.
I'm 74. Thanks for asking.
Yeah. So you moved out. That's with Steve Byrne, who Steve Byrne from before stand-up, right? Comedians.
Yeah, we went to college together. He never admits this, but we were in the same fraternity together.
Okay, but he doesn't want to be fraternity guy?
No, it was one of those things. I always thought it was funny. I was like, that's how I met you. You lived in the fraternity house. We had fun. I just think it's funny that you barely ever admit it. But he does when we go back.
Do you think it's a stigma, like because Steve Burns he claims a lot of things.
Yeah.
In terms of comedy, he's great. He's fantastic. He's a great comic. He's Korean and Irish. Mm-hmm. And I remember one time I was in Erie, Pennsylvania, and I'm just only Irish. So if I was going to do a tour, it'd have to be some sort of drunky Irish tour.
Yeah.
And I remember he'd just gotten done doing the Kims of Comedy tour, which was like, I believe Korean, right?
Yeah.
It was like Korean comics. And then we were in Erie, Pennsylvania. I was doing a show. It was opening at Junior or JR's Junior's Last Laugh, right? And I was walking by a theater, and they were like, the Jameson Comedy Tour featuring Steve Byrne. And I was like, no!
Yeah.
You can't get both of them!
He can. He's a
he
day
did.
walker. He can walk in
he
both
got
worlds.
both. So I don't know. Maybe he just doesn't want to dilute the brand with fraternity guy.
Yeah.
Fraternity guys of comedy.
Yeah, I don't think. Yeah, it wouldn't work. But I mean, yeah, those are two very successful tours. And he's
they
great.
crushed it. So you guys met each other in college. That was at Kent State, right?
That's right, Kent State University in Kent, Ohio.
I know everything about you, Ryan.
You do. We've shared a lot of time together.
Well, we lived in when Ryan moved out to Los Angeles. He lived in an apartment with me and two other comedians. And it was a 2-bedroom apartment, which if you're doing the math right now, that's 2 bedrooms less than you need for 4 grown men.
Yeah.
And I had the sheet room in the living room, and Ryan had like a little nook outside the sheet room. We're not weird. We're grown men.
It was a refugee camp, it wasn't even a halfway house. It was like a quarter house.
It smelled like feet all the time.
The carpet had its own. It was like camping inside because the carpet was a layer of dirt. I mean, I still shudder to think about it. Because Ashley stayed there one day. Do you remember that?
Oh, that's right.
She stayed because she was visiting.
Ryan's wife came out from Cleveland
and
while they were long distance.
Stayed, and she looked at me and she was like, "I can't believe you stayed here this long." I was thankful to have it. I still am.
Well,
just
at the
to have a
time,
place
I
to
think
crash.
we all were because of the level of poverty financially we all had to live in.
Yeah.
But man, I remember we didn't have a vacuum for like the first 6 months we lived there. And then after that, it became kind of like who wants to vacuum. You could vacuum that carpet and then turn around and vacuum it again. And you'd still have like pieces of Dorito.
Yeah.
Like just crunched up and in the. It was a disgusting place. But you know what it did? It made me appreciate when I don't live in disgusting places.
Yeah. Ashley's father works in a warehouse. Like he does like woodwork, millwork, and the floor of that on its dirtiest day was not as dirty as this car. I'm not making a joke. It was disgusting.
I one time walked into the kitchen after like going to work out or something, and my feet were sticking to the floor after like a Friday night, and it was worse than going through like the diabetes dive bar. Like a Buffalo Wild Wings kitchen had a cleaner floor than our kitchen. It was insane. But during that whole time, and we touched on it a little bit in the first segment that with the technology and Ashley wanting to FaceTime, I'm in a long-distance relationship, and I agree with you on the FaceTime thing. It's creepy. I don't want people looking at me. I agree with Ashley, I mean.
But when you do FaceTime, you do it privately. You don't do it out in public, which I think should be a shootable offense.
Yeah, that is. People like, hey, look, showing people stuff.
I can't deal
with it. Look at me. I'm at the Grove. I'm in front of a Banana Republic.
I'm screaming into the face of my phone.
How did you guys make that whole situation work? Because it was was it a year almost?
No. Each time I would come out for a summer, and I would work on that show. And it's 3 months. I mean, honestly, in the scale of things, 3 months is not a long time. I mean, you're in and out. That's shorter than most internships.
That's what I tell my girlfriend. It's like, we'll go 2 weeks is the longest usually.
That's nothing.
And no, it's like, and it's like I understand that it's not ideal,
right?
But then again, I am doing nothing but working in Los Angeles, and trying to make it big, trying to make the career happen.
Yeah.
And it's like people get deployed to military environments. As I'm getting called right now, Byron. People get deployed to overseas to military environments, and here we are. We just need to go 2 weeks. Like, we can make it 2 weeks.
Yeah, and believe me, that discussion has been brought up when things were tough. But the key is, honestly, you got to communicate. Mm-hmm. You got to send funny texts back to each other. You got to, every time you do something, you got to kind of involve them, kind of like give them a window of the world of what you're doing. But even with all of that, everything that I've said, something happens, this animosity happens where it becomes not even, it's like you shut off because that person's not around, and now you're just checking in.
Yeah,
that
does feel like
it's
that.
like you're punching a very uninteresting time clock. Because a lot of our phone calls were like, just get through this. And I'm like, at this point, like, why am I even on the phone?
Yeah, why are we just like breathing on the other end, like through a headphone, listening to,
And it is frustrating because, I mean, honestly, and you're in a lot better position than most people who do deploy. Like, you have the ability to fly back and forth
I go
at your
too
whim.
much. I fly too much back there.
And it's so important the balance has to be struck, because if it's one person doing too much, then the other person starts to resent the other for it. So it's like you got to establish a realistic balance. And I know it's hard, but it's like, I mean, if you love this person, you're going to make it work.
Right.
I mean, we're not in a third world country where we'll never see you again. I'll see you in a couple days. Give me a break.
I'm going this way. Hopefully we reconnect.
Yeah.
If I can sneak across that fence or line or border or wherever I need to go.
Yeah.
I think for me and her, I'm trying to learn how to, when we get into an argument, just be able to be like, you know what? Let's just talk in like an hour, because I have a tendency. I need closure like now on arguments, and she doesn't. She's fine with like, you know what? I need a minute. I'm gonna go do my own thing. I'll think about it. We'll talk later. I'm a person who, like, I don't feel okay unless I get full circle closure with whatever is going on.
I'm the same way.
Right, so then I end up making it worse, because then I'm peppering her with like, all right, what are we going to do? We want to talk about it? What? Why are you being so quiet? Blah, blah, blah. And I could just feel her getting more annoyed. And then by the time the whole conversation's over, I'm in such a worse place than I would be if I just said, oh, you know what, you're upset? I understand, but like, let's just reconvene in 45 minutes.
Yeah.
After you've had a minute to cool off a little bit.
Well, a lot of
cooler
that
heads
is
prevail.
your boyfriend, girlfriend. Now you're married. It's like, where are you going to go? What are you going to leave?
What are you going to run?
Are you going to move out of the house we own together? I doubt it.
That is, dude,
I'm not saying I always rely on that, because I am similar. I don't want to fight. I don't want later on we're having a good time and all of a sudden she throws a side jab about something that happened hours earlier.
Right.
Because then a fight flares back up like a wildfire. So it's like, but I do have a little bit of that, like, oh, you're going to be like this? Okay, well, I'll see you tomorrow then, because we're still going to be here.
There's nothing you can do about it.
You're not going anywhere.
Like, I tried to tell my girlfriend that because I've been married, I got divorced, and we'll be in a fight, and I'm like, she's like, well, what's the difference? I'm like, the difference is you and I can get in a fight, and we can go our separate ways, never have to talk to each other again. We block each other on all social media. With my ex-wife, we had to ask a judge for permission to do that. And that is the worst. Bam! Nailed it. Look at that. Stick in the post.
Yeah, you did hit the post there.
Well, I mean, we kind of hit the post.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm in here with Pat. Pat stomps all over that. I'll be like, yeah, that was kind of a good rap out there. You can hear the music escalating, and he's like, and then I'll say something. He's like, whatever, dude, I have cancer, and I'm like, dang it, you're so right.
The Brian Moote Show with Brad Nolan. Here we have Brian Moote
This better not get me in trouble with my girlfriend.
and Brad Nolan.
No, my wife wants to flip the swinger switch.
Just two boys without man buns.
It's the Brian Moote Show with Brad Nolan. We don't have man buns. I would do a man bun. Would you do a man bun? If you could
If
grow
I
a
had
man-
hair that could grow, I look like I had a man bun, and then somebody scalped me in anger.
it slowly fell. What are you doing for? Because I talked about this recently. I bought that laser helmet, that eye restore laser helmet.
Did you get that on Prime Day?
No, I didn't. I got it on full price day, but it had 4 stars from the FDA or whatever.
I gotta see this thing, man.
I'll show
I
it
didn't
to
realize you actually had it.
I'm getting nervous because like my hair's been slowly thinning for 10 years, so I thought, why not try this infrared laser helmet that's supposed to stimulate blood flow and regrow hair over a period of 8 to 12 weeks. So you do it every other day, and it feels like your head got a light sunburn every time you do it. So you're not supposed to do it all the time, but yeah, it's just it's a helmet you put on, an alien helmet.
I gotta see it.
Space helmet, and it just puts red infrared light on. I don't know. I feel like I'm panicking. And
Don't panic. Listen, every man wants a full head of hair.
Mm-hmm. I want a full head of not just hair, but like robust,
Oh yeah,
stylable hair.
I see people with full heads of hair like robe, and an anger fills me because I want that.
Like the hairline straight across.
There was a time we all had it. We were all equal, and then age comes, and they're like, your head's like no more hair, but we'll grow it out of your earlobe now. This is where your hair's
Or
going
the
to come
tip
from.
of your nose.
Yeah, like a witch.
That's the one I'm getting right now. I every once in a while
I have
see
to pluck nose hairs off my nose. Not
off the
out
top.
of my nose, off my nose.
Who doesn't pluck I mean, if you have, whenever I see somebody who's like full out rocking, like a bunch of hair on the tip of their nose, like a dude, I, for the life of me, can't figure out what the hell you're doing not plucking those. Like, you see those. There's no way you look at your face in the mirror, brushing your teeth, and you don't realize, like, you've got a ton of extra hair coming off. I mean, that clearly you've given up.
Yeah,
Right, you just-
when
like,
you
what the-
see huge ear hair in people.
Yeah,
you're
you
just
can
like,
see
how
it
do you
from-
not see tumbleweeds that have died in your ears?
Right, like you can see it coming out like Aliens on the Jetsons, where is it our second Jetsons reference? Aliens, where it comes out and they got like the little balls on the side. Like, just, it's disgusting. I had an interesting experience this past weekend. Ryan, is there any place in your life, any physical location that was you had such a terrible, awful experience that you could never go back to it, hear about it, even see it without immediately finding like a bad place and being upset?
Like a location?
Yeah, location. That something happened there. Or you know what? I would extend it to just things like maybe every time you get like a pizza from this or whatever, like it brings up just an awful memory.
Oh man, one time. Well, this is a bad one because my brain's trying to think. But one time, I mean, who doesn't love Taco Bell? It's great.
Oh man, it's the
It's
best.
so good.
So for late
Even
night,
in Los Angeles, home of every great taco, you'll still be like, I kind of want some Mexican pizza from Taco Bell.
well, one, because they don't abide by the rules. They don't have to.
No.
They don't have rules. They threw the taco pizza, kind of crushed the mold there. Now they're just like, yeah, dude, it's a triple-decker quesadilla wrapped in another tortilla. We don't care. Whatever you want. We'll merge with a Pizza Hut. That's how little we care. Same venue.
One time I ordered Taco Bell from this town I lived in Cleveland, and we got it, and everything we ate tasted like metal. Like actual, like
pieces of foil
like
in
it had been cooked in a brine of metal.
Oh, geez.
And I didn't have Taco Bell for a long, long time, and I was like, and that Taco Bell has since gone out of business, thank goodness.
Probably because they're cooking with alkaline.
Yeah, I know at some point my insides are going to just shut down because of that one meal.
It's funny because those references that you can't get rid of, like mine's a little bit more serious than Taco Bell.
I've been trying to think of something, but I guess as I'm old enough
Well, I
that I
sprung
look
it on
back,
you.
I'm like, I don't have. I'm lucky enough to say I've had a pretty good life and everything's going good so far. But I'm lucky to say I don't have anything so tragic that I'm like, I'll never go back there.
I don't want to say
again.
like mine's not as tragic as it is like. So my father did 4.5 years in prison, but he did 3 at one prison that I went to a lot, which was Terminal Island down in San Pedro, California.
I remember that.
And I hated it. I hated going. I went every Saturday for the most part. I'd load up on quarters at a laundromat, go down there, we'd buy food. And I think the reason I hated it so much was the whole process of going into a prison, if you've never done it, is like, it's a weird, because you have no power there, right? Like you're on like someone else's turf. You're on like a warden's turf. You've got guards. That's intimidating. I don't really know what branch of law enforcement, if they can do anything. I'm sure behind those walls they can, in terms of, if you do anything wrong.
It's like another country almost.
Right, it's weird. You go in there and the guards are never in a good mood. One, I think it's a mixture of them hating their jobs and also them like knowing they're not allowed to show any sort of like weaknesses around inmates or whatever. So you go through and you're waiting in the waiting room, and they're just complete asshats to everybody who comes in who's not wearing the right attire or whatever. A woman comes in with too low cut a shirt, they send her away, and it's like, who knows how long these people traveled to get here. There's just no compassion. Buzzer doors clang clang. There's guard towers with guys with rifles. You go in, you meet with your loved one for 2 to 3 hours. Then the worst part is when you have to leave and it's not the end of visiting time. Like, you can get 6 hours, but if you just have other stuff to do in your day, you have to just say goodbye to people, which always is heartbreaking, because you're like, well, I guess I'm going to go about my life, and you can go back to whatever's behind those doors over there. Sure sucks. I'm sure you'd rather just sit here in silence and stare at me, but I can't bring there's no phones, there's no nothing. You can't bring anything in. So I just remember, like, I hated San Pedro. God, I hated it. I hated the guards. I used to have fantasies about going to a local bar. At all the prisons he went to, all of them, I had a fantasy, because the guards were such jerks to him, to my father, to other people, to other inmates who were in front of their family members, in front of their kids and stuff. It's like, don't be a jerk to this guy in front of his kids. Like, his kids are already struggling enough with this. Like, you don't need to punish him extra because you have the power to. You can be a nicer person in front of his family. And I remember having like these revenge fantasies of like just going and just like seeing a guard not in their little realm of control, and just slapping a beer out of their hand or something, or just running my mouth to them, like, because I can't do anything about it. And just like taking my dad there, just like we can all punk these guards out together and just call them all worthless, dicks. But I mean, I never did that, clearly, but it just was such an unhealthy level of anger I was carrying around, and it was irrational. Like, I would look from airplanes when I'd fly into LAX, and I'd look down, and I'd get furious.
Yeah.
I hated it, and I hated everything about San Pedro. I'd driving to comedy shows going down the 110. I'd be like, San Pedro, just screw that place. Like, I hate that. Like, if San Pedro, if an earthquake happened and a tsunami took out a city and it took out San Pedro, I'd give it a standing ovation. Then I went down to the San Pedro fish market, which I didn't even know existed. It's across the water from San Pedro, and it was unbelievable. It was the coolest experience I've had in a long time in terms of seafood, families running around, having all this fun, little kids running around, could be the same little kids who were sitting over in that waiting room at one point in time to go see their family members. And I remember sitting there going in and looking straight across the water at Terminal Island. And at first I was having a problem with having fun there. I was having a problem with letting go of being pissed off. And then I just was like, what are you doing? Like, you're a grown man. That was 5 years ago. And you're just with disdain looking at this stupid place. And so I started just like trying to have a good time and like goof around and seeing all these little kids having fun. And then I decided, it was even more of an FU to that place to have a good time in front of it, as if it's a real person that matters. But I decided I'm going to take my brothers down there. We're going to throw a big-ass party. If you want to go, we're going to drink out of pineapples and order fish.
Yeah, that's how I feel about that Taco Bell I was talking about.
You want to go do it? Just crush a bunch of soft tacos?
Yeah.
Non-metally?
Yeah.
Suck it, Taco Bell. There we go. Sticking it each time. Bringing it home. All right, you want to talk about Cleveland and LeBron and L.A. and LeBron?
Sure.
I do.
Because my attitude toward him has changed over the years.
Has it? Okay, let's get into that.
It's different phases of LeBron.
That sounds like a book.
Yeah.
The Phases of LeBron.
You're listening to The Brian Moote Show with Brad Nolan.
It's The Brian Moote Show with Brad Nolan, rolling into the fourth segment. Boy, we've had a hoot today.
We really have.
We've covered the gamut from talking on FaceTime to your significant others, Amazon Prime, to prison stories and how bad Ryan needs a Taco Bell redemption.
I knew. Well, there's a great Taco Bell here in Los Angeles I go to, and it's different. And they kill it. They kill it on a regular basis.
That is Ryan Dalton in today. Brad Nolan out on vacation, hanging out, I don't know, somewhere, doing just, keeping an eye on his kid, probably. Finding his lust for life again. He'd been getting pretty, he'd been finding a dark place on the show every week or every day.
No. Time for vacation.
Gotta go. Go let that out on your family. Stop bringing us down. And usually we don't really hit sports all that often unless we talk about the World Cup lately. But that was more from a betting angle and fun.
Well, this is a very dark time in the sports schedule. There's just baseball, and how much can you talk about that?
It is really bad.
I hate this time
I
of
wish,
year.
and I'm not. I think hockey is doing themselves a disservice by having their playoffs at the same time the NBA does.
100%.
Just stagger it another 6 weeks. You could own July.
Yeah. You
could have July and the first week of August all to yourself. But the only thing that's ever fun now in sports at this point is the off-season, what becomes a reality show, and it's been basically just all the free agency, but more specifically LeBron James. And you're from Cleveland, and LeBron's Akron, but that's close enough to Cleveland to call it Cleveland, wouldn't you say?
I'm Kent, which is right next to Akron, which is, I mean, I've watched this guy develop from when he was a kid. I remember the first time I heard LeBron James' name, I was working at a business, which is basically a glorified laundromat that does like towel services
Right.
for like Jiffy Lubes or whatever. And it was a Friday, and we were sitting around killing the clock, just like having
Just counting down.
Just counting down. I was like, so what are you other sales reps? What are you guys going to do this week? And they're like, we are going to scalp tickets to go see a high school basketball game.
And you're like,
I'm
you guys are losers.
What?
Get out of here.
Like, are there chicks there or something? What are you doing? And it turns out they were going to see this kid who was getting all this hype, and that kid was LeBron James. And at that game, Shaquille O'Neal and Ron Harper were playing. They were on the Lakers. They were playing the Cavs, and after the game the next day, they came to see this kid play in Akron, which I was like, okay, now I'm starting to believe what's going on.
Now you get it.
Like, that's ridiculous.
Because that is a thing where you're like, yeah, there's always been hype around high school kids.
Yeah,
but
there's
then
always a crazy thing going on.
When you have like those legends stopping by just to check out a game while they're on the road, that's not an easy thing to do. I remember when LeBron James actually helped me. I would say help me because I wouldn't be who I am today without LeBron James in a funny way. He helped me give up on my dream of playing professional basketball.
Yeah?
And here's how he did it. I was a freshman in college, and LeBron was a junior in high school. And he was on, and like I'm a freshman, so in my opinion, the NBA is still a possibility.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, I'm going small school.
You're developing your game
I'm going
still.
small school for the playing time, man. I don't want to be buried on the bench.
That's right. Be
Who
a
knows?
star on a bad team.
That's right. And I remember I was sitting in the team locker room. And mind you, at that point, even small school college basketball was so cool for me because I got free shoes. We got to travel. We went all over the country just playing because, college, and it's fun. I'm like, we're hanging out. We're going to parties on campus. And I remember feeling like, man, this is pretty cool. Like I could make it if I play well enough. I could make it. I remember I was sitting in the team locker room, and LeBron James was on the cover of Sports Illustrated. As a junior in high school, he'd already declared for the NBA draft. Like, he just said, whatever, I'm not even messing with college. Like, I can't. I'm taking benefits now. Like, I know Michael Jordan's flying me to his summer basketball camps. And he was on the cover of Sports Illustrated doing, like, the gripping the basketball, like, triple threat with, like, his high school basketball jersey on. And I remember sitting there right there at that exact moment just going, you know what? It's okay if I don't play professionally. Like, at that point, this kid, he was a kid. He was 16. And I'm like 18, turning 19. And I'm like, this guy would murder me. Right. And that is what a professional basketball player looks like. And that is not what I look like. I'm not going to make it. And I'm okay with that. I'm actually like, he helped me be at peace with embracing the hilarity of thinking I could go. And I laughed at it. And then I would sit on the bench. Still riding the bench anyway as a freshman for a little bit, even though I went to dominate in a small school.
Yeah.
And just cracking jokes. And I developed more of a sense of humor.
Right.
So when he was drafted by Cleveland, That had to be his
It was
early-
storybook.
Yeah.
You're thinking about the greatest, the most hyped human being at the time, and you're thinking out of Akron. Which look, I'm from Ohio and I love my hometown. I'm homesick right now talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
But Akron, it's not a whole lot.
Really industrial.
So the world is focused on this kid from Akron. The Cleveland Cavaliers, who are just terrible, they get the number 1 pick, and they get this guy who was you're writing a movie about this type of star.
Yeah, you
we
could
get him.
Got the first pick in the draft.
Yeah.
and they land LeBron James.
The Cleveland Cavaliers, the horrible Cleveland Cavaliers, are going to have arguably the greatest pick, and then we get him, and then he delivers on exactly what he says. He's automatically our favorite thing. We love LeBron. I mean, we would do. LeBron could have murdered a family. We'd be like, they deserved it. They had it coming.
He had Trump level acceptance with his fan base.
Yes.
Like when Trump said he could shoot someone on Fifth Avenue and not lose anything in the polls, LeBron could have shot someone on Fifth Avenue and they would have found a way to like him more. Like that person needed to go.
I mean, let's talk about this for a second. 2004, he's a rookie. In 2007, he takes the Cleveland Cavaliers with a bunch of who cares?
Name another guy from that squad. It's impossible.
I'm trying to, and I can't. I honestly cannot. He takes them single-handedly, beats arguably one of the toughest Detroit Pistons teams in the playoffs. Single-handedly does it himself. And then, of course, they get swept by the San Antonio Spurs in 2007. But the point is, 3 years in the league, this is a kid who's still developing physically.
Like 21 years old.
Yeah. I mean, he proves that he is legit the hype. Now we talk about when he leaves. He goes to the famous decision.
I remember the week before that whole decision happened, I was playing Bogey's Comedy Club in Willoughby Hills.
Yeah.
Which is just out northeast or just east on the lake, basically.
Yes.
And it was in a strip mall, comedy club in a strip mall, of course. And I was on stage and I brought it up for some dumb reason because I didn't really it didn't resonate to me. At this point, I'd already lost my NBA team. The Sonics were gone. So it was like I just kind of forgot that people cared that much. And I lost people for a good 15 minutes just because I just reminded them of the worst thing they could imagine happening to their sports town. Like, you could see it on their face when I brought it up. I don't even know how the context happened. I just remember, someone sucked the air out of the room. And it was like, Brian, and in my mind, I was like, you moron. You don't even have a joke about it. You just brought it up. You just brought it up like an idiot. Like, hey, guys, what's the worst thing you could imagine happening? Oh, yeah, let's talk about that. I don't have anything to say about it. Do you guys?
Yeah.
They just all looked at me just depressed.
I mean, we're a city that's known as the joke nationwide, that we don't win anything. I mean, we're downtrodden. Everybody, if you grow up in Cleveland, I mean, to this day, I'll just be on the road and like, where you from, Cleveland? I'm like, oh, sorry. So what do you mean sorry? It's a why would I apologize?
You should be just as. It's like funny
doesn't
because
matter.
It's still the same geographic region as other cities on the
Yes.
lake. Chicago, Cleveland, Detroit's up there, Milwaukee. But yet Cleveland becomes like this sad, like, oh my God, the mistake on the lake. Why is it so much more of a mistake than any other city built on that frigid lake with the winds blowing off at -5 degrees?
It's a very good point. And then he leaves for Miami because he wants to learn how to win championships with a team.
And ride jet skis in the wintertime.
Yeah, and I mean, honestly, to this day, it felt like your girl broke up with you to be with a hotter dude, which is what happened. He broke up to be with and that was our economy, basically. And this is I forget what I'm not, but this is around the same time the market crashed. Okay, you got to think about all these jobs left, all these jobs,
people bummed
the
out.
Few
the
jobs
bubble
we had,
burst. Yeah,
the bubble
right.
burst. People are losing jobs. Like it was a bad time, and just to make it even worse, we lose like our one ray of hope, and then that caused hatred. I hated him. I couldn't stand him for this, even though like he owes me nothing.
Right?
Like why? I look back and go, why was I so mad at a person I don't know, had no real no real influence on my life, but yet I blamed this person for so much.
It's because of how much like unreciprocated love we fire at those people, assuming that they feel it, that we have but it's a psychological thing. Like sports teams do this. Like the Seattle Seahawks, the 12th man thing is just a marketing scam that makes us love whoever's on that field, and we feel like oh, we're the ones causing these false starts. Get loud, everybody,
Didn't
loudest.
they rip that off of Texas A&M?
Yeah, oh yeah. But it's like doing the sixth man thing for crowds. It's
Yeah.
like you're just trying to motivate your fans to love the team when you don't have a star on the floor. But then you have LeBron, you don't really need to.
Yeah.
So he goes to Miami. What was
Wins
it?
championships.
Wins two.
With his new hot boyfriend.
Right in your face.
Yeah. I remember being here watching the championships, rooting so hard for the Dallas Mavericks to beat them in that 2011.
I think that we were hanging out.
Yes.
When Ray Allen hit that shot. We were at Buffalo Wild Wings.
That's right.
Okay, I remember. Because
Yeah.
I looked in your face and you almost fought some foreigners. Some guys from France.
Yeah.
Who we were at a Buffalo Wild Wings, and it looked like the series was over. Miami's not going to win. And then all of a sudden, Ray Allen gets some sort of crazy inbound save, steps back. They're putting the rope out for the championship presentation, knocks down a three, and these French dudes or Italian guys start losing their minds because they're LeBron fans. And Ryan, the look of rage on your face was something I'll never forget. Clearly, I remember it now.
Yeah. And so he has his time there, and then it's contract time. I mean, the owner of the Cavaliers,
Dan Gilbert,
just really
awful.
showed his cards. How bad of a person he was when he wrote that letter like an angry, hurt person.
Yeah, he
to
did.
these masses.
It was like the girlfriend who needs closure, whether you like it or not.
I mean, and then to think that this guy would ever come back and play here, then forget about it. And then he did. He did what I never thought would be possible. Comes back. And everything is better. We have so much love. I was at the game he came back. I was at that game he came back, and it was we had Kevin Love, Kyrie Irving. I'd watched Kyrie Irving develop. I could not believe these pieces were coming together.
Right.
And he came back, and the whole time he's there, it's just, he could do no wrong. Like, he could play for Satan's team. I'd still love LeBron for doing it.
It's funny because he is one of those players who is not just a basketball player, he is an industry. It's like if you could take Jordan's fame now, with the iconic shoes and the line and the businesses, and put him in his prime and then put him in a city because of how social media and all these things have changed the way that these guys become complete industries. Like Jordan's one of the greatest players of all time, a force in Chicago. But it's not the same business entity that LeBron rolls into town with and I've been having this argument with Lakers fans. And I think we kind of were you shocked when LeBron decided to opt out of his contract and sign with the Lakers? Were you shocked
Not
at all?
Or not
and
at
how
all.
did you, at
I
that
knew
point,
it was going to happen
were you
because
just
we've been down this road before.
Right.
I knew the kind of player he was. This is a guy who has made his game. He's no longer just a basketball player. He has perfected all parts of his game. I mean, he's only gotten better, even in an older age.
Mm-hmm.
And now he's like, I just want to win championships. And Cleveland wasn't going to be able to put that together. I just knew it wasn't going to happen, and he was going to have to leave. And I said he bought a house here. I knew he bought a house here in expensive Brentwood. I mean, I was like, he's coming to the Lakers. That's it. He's coming to Los Angeles. He's going to play for the Lakers. It's where you want to be if you're going to be a global icon.
Well,
now.
he's a executive producer on game shows, on movies. He's got his own production company. I mean, it makes...
He's got his own space at the Warner Brothers lot.
Yeah, he hit, what is he, 34, 35 years old?
Yeah.
You hit that point in his life, and he's like, you know what, my kids are growing up. Like, I got to be in a place that I want to be, retire forever. Like, I'll be there, bring a title. And also, you bring a title to the Lakers, and I don't care if it's one title over the next 4 years, this town loses their mind. And I've been fighting on the radio with Lakers fans who are there's a weird level of loyalty from Lakers fans to random players. Kobe, I get it. But also, Kobe retired. Settle down. People were actually angry that the Lakers that LeBron came to Los Angeles because somehow it's like a slap in the face to Kobe because now everyone's talking about how LeBron's the greatest player of all time. Well, listen, LeBron and Kobe aren't even the same type of player at all. They never really had any meaningful matchups. Also, LeBron... It's not apples to apples. It's just let Kobe go retire. He's one of the greatest players to ever play the game. He's in that, that top bracket, top tier or whatever. But we got phone calls, people saying like, don't don't do all this LeBron talk, man. LeBron ain't no Kobe. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. Because LeBron brings industry to Los Angeles. Kobe just fed on it.
Yeah.
Like LeBron's going to bring money and fame and relevance to a city that over the last 3 seasons has been garbage.
I got news for you. Also, LeBron started game 1. He always started. Kobe didn't always start. He turned it. There's no argument. Kobe's one of the greatest to ever lace him up. But LeBron James started from day 1. He started out of high school. Like Kobe didn't start all the time.
No, and I just get it, man. I mean, being in Los Angeles right now.
I feel now like a friend from home has moved here. And I fully expect, and this is the delusion, I would not be surprised if I got a knock at the door and he needed to crash on my couch. And I would tell him, no, LeBron, I have a guest bed.
LeBron, don't you worry, man. Back in the day, you would have had to sleep in the living room, in the sheet walls, on the dirty Dorito-filled carpet. But guess what, LeBron? I have upgraded, and we have a guest room with a pull-out. It's probably not going to fit you. You're 6'9", but at least you don't have to sleep on an inflatable mattress on the floor.
I'm just happy he's here. I can't wait to see what's going to happen, and I want to see the team they develop, although come on, the NBA's fixed. It's pro wrestling at this point. The Golden State Warriors is ridiculous.
But what I love about it, though, is as someone who's like been a hater of all those teams that were better than the Seattle Sonics and then all those teams that like the Lakers and all that stuff, now it's finally like it's aligning for me to become just the biggest bandwagon Lakers fan that ever existed.
Yeah.
So if I could thank LeBron for one thing, it's giving me a reason to like the Lakers and still hate the Golden State
I jumped on
Warriors.
board with them when I moved here because they were the worst team of all the sports teams. And that's the most Cleveland thing you can do is root for the losingest team. And then all this happened since I became a Lakers fan. So this is perfect for me.
Ryan, I feel like you orchestrated this entire thing.
I did.
LA has a lot to thank you for.
Well, you're welcome.
Mainly rooting for losers.
The Brian Moote Show with Brad Nolan.
Say Metro by T-Mobile got the best deal in wireless, and it's all for you, all for me. Just switch quickly, because Metro has 2 lines for $80 and 2 Samsung Galaxy J7 Star phones for free, plus Amazon Prime included. That's the way wireless should be, only at Metro.
Plus sales tax and activation fee. $50 plus rate plan required. Not valid for numbers currently on T-Mobile network or on Metro in past 90 days. Offer subject to change. Offer valid for new Amazon Prime members. Amazon Prime has a $12.99 per month value. Restrictions apply. See store for details and terms and conditions.
Now with the 7-Eleven app, use that $1 in your pocket on any size hot beverage, including coffee and lattes. With dairy and non-dairy creamers, coffee your way for just $1 with your 7-Eleven app. Plus tax where applicable. Only at participating 7-Eleven locations.